Good morning, everyone. On today's conference, Decarbonization of Cities through Innovative Projects and Partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and speakers, today's conference, we will address the most critical challenges of our time, climate change. Cities and businesses, civil society are no longer bystanders. They are leading the change. Through innovative projects and collaboration, we are witnessing groundbreaking initiatives to mitigate climate change's impact. They are all testing. We actually are testing new solutions, contributing to new design of new regulations, removing technical barriers, promoting green investments, and helping to change habits. The impacts of climate action in the cities are multi-layered, span across many areas, and have a positive impact on different spheres of our life and the environment. But we must acknowledge the scale of the task ahead. According to estimates by Material Economics and followed by European Commission, only 17% of investments in carbon-free future will be made directly by the cities. The remaining 83% will have to be made directly or indirectly by citizens, businesses, and other stakeholders. High level of community and business support as well as engagement are needed to help the most ambitious cities to achieve climate neutrality by 2030 and other European cities by 2050. So our conference aims to showcase best practices and partnerships driving city decarbonization across Europe. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the partners who are supporting this event under the umbrella of Green Penguin Project, which is founded by the Norwegian Financial Mechanism and the Ministry of Cohesion and Regional Development of Republic of Slovenia. Paul Polman, ex-Unilever CEO, said, "To tackle humanity's biggest challenges and unlock social and greater business value, we need to tackle the whole system itself. But changing the system and climate battle is not an easy job. Let's be honest, actually it goes beyond one man's job. It takes a group of courageous, wise, and dedicated people that would lead to the way to a new movement of collaboration, to which we all want to belong." And Paul Polman also said, "Solving tough issues together builds trust and fosters creative partnerships." So collaboration is the only way we will succeed to tackle climate crisis and develop irresistible circular society. And today we will get the insight to the best practices of collaboration. So thank you again to all the speakers, panelists, presenting your work and finding the new way of solving our toughest issues. And I'm really grateful to kickstart our conference with hosting our distinguished speaker who embodies the forefront of European Union Environmental Cities Initiative, Mr. Patrick Child, Deputy Director General of DG ENVI of European Commission. His presentation on Mission 100 Climate Neutral and Smart Cities will present the scope of European ambition of climate action in the cities. So, Mr. Child, we are really very honored to have you with us today, and please present us where we are heading, how ambitious is European Union, and what we have to do.
Well, thank you very much, Anna. I'm very happy to be here, and warm thanks to you and for the CER Sustainable Business Network for this invitation. I'm speaking to you today essentially as mission manager for the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities mission, one of the 5 missions launched under the Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Framework Programme. Missions were created as a new way to tackle our biggest societal challenges with specific, ambitious, and we hope inspiring goals. In the case of the Cities mission, what we're trying to achieve is to support 100 cities across the European Union to become climate neutral by 2030, and to use their experience also to inspire and lead all of European cities to become climate neutral by 2050, in line with the aims of the European Green Deal. And already we can see that based on the plans of the 100 cities in the mission, we will be able to achieve reductions in greenhouse gas emissions by nearly 200 million tons of CO2 equivalent, which is today the annual emissions of both the Netherlands and Croatia combined. And I'm really impressed by the ambition of the mayors and the other leaders in the cities participating in our mission to go faster and further. And it's really an inspirational opportunity for me and for the colleagues working in the European Commission to be supporting them. And I came away from my visit to Slovenia at the end of last year, where I saw the 3 cities and the work that they are doing. Kranj, with a strong focus on digitalization, floating solar panels, charging stations, and hydrogen. Valencia, with the challenge of phasing out its coal mining by 2033, as well as renovation of the city's district heating system in order to replace coal as the main source of heating and electricity. And for Ljubljana, the city's the capital city, with a range of exciting practices on promoting energy transition, from phasing out of coal, waste management, and to energy plant construction. And also priorities including the transport and mobility, spatial planning, and planting trees. But more generally, 2024, this year, is a tipping point for the city's mission. We're moving from a phase of commitments and planning in a first sort of part of the mission since it was launched a couple of years ago, now really to focus on delivery and implementation. And with the help of the mission platform, Net Zero Cities, cities are actively delivering their climate city contracts, which include detailed action plans and very specific related investment plans that they are co-creating with citizens and stakeholders. Just to take an example, Barcelona has drawn in more than 1,000 organizations and schools to participate actively in the preparation of their climate city contract. The good news is that already 10 cities have received what we call a mission label, a sort of vote of confidence in the success of the climate city contract. And we're hoping to award about 20 more mission labels during our Research and Innovation Days conference in Brussels later this month. So by the Easter of this year, we hope to have already a third of the cities in the mission with a well-established set of plans and a very active focus on implementation. And I think that cities are already deriving visible benefits from the mission in 3 main areas. Firstly, in breaking silos and finding new ways of working. Secondly, in mobilizing new sources of funding. And thirdly, in maximizing the impact of research and innovation projects. And I'd like to say a little bit more about each of these areas. So firstly, the mission is helping to break silos. Many cities were missing an overall climate perspective, how their transport, energy, waste, and water plans all come together in a coherent climate strategy. And more than a third of the participating cities that we've seen have changed the ways that their administrations work. For example, Lisbon has nominated a director for climate action directly attached to the mayor. And in many cases, this has also led to a transformation of cities' approaches to citizen engagement, which is, of course, vitally important for building ownership and acceptance of the fundamental societal changes we're facing. The same is true at national level, where ministries are confronted collectively with cities' demands. Inspired by the silo-breaking approach of the mission, many member states, including Sweden, Spain, Greece, and the Netherlands, have created national cross-ministerial groups to support their cities committed to climate neutrality. And I hope that other member states, including Slovenia, will be inspired by this leadership and strengthen their collaboration between the cities and the national level ministries and government, which are so important both in terms of providing funding and we hope in providing a regulatory context framework which is favorable to the implementation and the rapid implementation of the climate plans that the cities have. It's also true that the mission has led to important changes in engagement between cities and the private sector. Just to give a few examples of that, Valencia has convinced a supermarket chain to align itself on the city's targets, triggering a chain reaction that make their competitors also join as well. Valladolid, also in Spain, got a major football club to join its commitment, and the cultural sector is also very present. For example, the Lyon Opera House is a signature to that city's climate city contract. Secondly, my second topic, the mission is bringing in funding and finance for cities in new ways. So already through Horizon Europe, we are supporting directly the mission with 360 million euros. And beyond research and innovation funding, the mission has been successfully working with other EU services and received more than 100 million euros of financial support from other EU programs. Now, a few examples of that: the Connecting Europe facility. Cities in the mission receive extra points in project evaluation in calls with an overall budget of more than 5 billion euros for transport infrastructure. The city's mission is also supported through a life call under our dedicated environment projects, in a call for urban innovative action, and under the Digital Europe programme. Beyond grant funding, the European Investment Bank is also a very, very strong supporter and active participant in our work on the mission, and is developing a dedicated fast-track access to its advisory services to be launched later this month. At a national level, many national governments are also contributing directly to funding, with some member states with a specific financial support for cities in the mission. Examples of that are Greece, which has a green fund of 10 million euros for its 6 cities, and Austria with a similar fund for 10 cities across the country. These efforts, of course, need to be scaled up very quickly. That's why under the mission, our next sort of big challenge is to launch what we call a cities mission capital hub, which will, we hope, provide really direct support for cities and guidance in translating their investment plans into project implementation. And just one example that I'm excited about is the city of Klagenfurt in Austria, missing 20% of funding for a big transport project. And we really see the capital hub as being able to help them find a partner to ensure the completion of the funding needs for this project. And my third topic today is the contribution that the mission is bringing in terms of maximizing the impact of research and innovation projects. So we see already that the mission is creating a portfolio of research and innovation actions, as well as finding new ways to exploit existing research and innovation project results for the benefit of cities to accelerate their decarbonization efforts. For example, using nature-based solutions, positive energy districts, and digital twins for urban planning. All of the research of the innovation projects that are under the Cities Mission Work Programme are cooperating with each other in clusters and with the Net Zero Cities Mission platform to make sure that results are shared as the projects progress. Projects from joint calls with the Adaptation Mission focus on renaturing industrial sites, and with the Horizon Europe partnership on zero emission mobility starting later this month. The mission platform and the Joint Research Centre in the Commission have also put together an impressive library of existing solutions to make sure that we learn from experience and replicate solutions. The selected cities in the mission are experimentation and innovation hubs that we hope will inspire all cities in the European Union to become climate neutral by 2050. As I visit cities in my role as mission manager, I'm constantly struck by the innovative approaches to the challenges they face, in particular on citizens' engagement, and by the impressive projects that have been conceived and are being realized by local communities. But clearly, we still have a hard work ahead of us. And events like this today, I hope, will bring us together, foster joint thinking, focus minds, and ensure that we can contribute collectively to creating a sustainable and resilient path for our cities and communities in the way ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Child, to this broad presentation on 3 important topics. Definitely, we see raising the ambition in the cities, breaking silos. We hear that the cities need help, financial and research and innovation. But maybe one question, what are the biggest problems that the cities are coming back to you that they are facing on this path of reaching the net zero by 2030?
Well, I think that the basic challenge is that the overall ambition of becoming climate neutral by 2030 is extremely demanding, and the time is very short, and the scale of the challenge in many cities is vast. I think that the 3 main sort of messages we get most clearly from cities are, firstly, the need rapidly to identify the necessary funding, investment. That's why it's important, I think, that we're helping cities through the Climate City contracts to develop specific investment plans, identify as clearly as they can where potential sources of funding are, recognizing that most of the money will have to come from the private sector. And so bringing business into the conversation at an early stage is also very important. The second challenge is the relationship between cities and the national government, and making sure that the work that they are doing at a local level is fully joined up with national climate strategies, and that there are good sort of communication lines at all levels. And I think that if you recognize that the cities in the mission collectively represent 12% of the EU's overall population, that it is a very relevant demographic reality for national governments. But we need to work harder, I think, in bringing the national politicians and national leaders into the work that the cities are doing. That's the second thing. And the third is carrying people, the citizens' mobilization. That in many cases, if we're looking at asking people to give up their private cars and take public transport or other forms of clean mobility, if we are introducing rapid and significant changes in the way that they heat their houses, these are big changes that need proper explanation and a sense of collective ownership. And that's where I think also the mission is able to spread best practice and help cities in finding new ways of bringing citizens into a sort of process of co-creation around these objectives.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all this clarification. And we are looking for financial funds to hear more innovative projects like we were here today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. So our first panel will be focused on the innovative projects. It all starts with sustainability knowledge. We have two great panelists bringing wealth, knowledge, and expertise and innovative approaches from the business sector into the sustainability project. The first will be a presentation of a Green Penguin project, a smart city solution that educates and engages citizens in sustainable practices. And it will be presented by Adriana Andono, independent associate supporting for EU tenders and projects from Iskra Imeco. Dear Adriana, please share with us your screen.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can see me because I have a little problem with my network. So I will just start sharing my screen. Okay, do you see it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No. Ei, Augustin. Okay, Adriana, we are sharing now the screen.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yep. Okay. Dear all, I'm Adriana Andono, working on the Green Penguin project at Iskra Imeco. Currently, I'm working with the pilot schools. And in the following, I will briefly introduce to you what Green Penguin is, where we are at the moment, and what are our goals for the future. You can go on, please. Thank you.
Something doesn't work either.
Oh.
Slide 2.
It is on slide 2. You cannot see it.
No.
I go like this.
Yeah.
Okay, we can see. Thank you. A word about the project. Our project partners, besides us, are City of Ljubljana, City of Kranj, the Association Novi Svi Slovenia, and Fi Norway. The Green Penguin project is co-financed by Norway through the Norwegian Financial Mechanism and Ministry of Cohesion and Regional Development in the amount of 664,281 euros and 54 cents. The aim of the project is to provide a solution for smart cities and to support the achievement of carbon neutrality through the education and involvement of cities. In project are also include 7 pilot primary schools, 6 from Slovenia and 1 from Norway. The project runs from 1st of June 2022 till 3rd of April 2024. We can move on another slide. Challenges of carbon dioxide emissions. So, as you probably know, our daily activities and our lifestyle contribute to a huge use of energy, which is in a short supply. Today, more than 70% of carbon dioxide emissions are generated in cities. Carbon dioxide emissions must be reduced by 55% by 2030, and we must become carbon dioxide neutral by 2050. We can go on. In response to a current situation, we designed the Green Penguin, a social and technological innovation that solves environmental and social challenges through education and citizen involvement. Okay, we can go on. What Green Penguin is? Green Penguin is a digital tool that teaches children, students, parents, and cities how to reduce their emissions by using less energy and other resources. It uses smart digital technologies, gamification, and quantification to achieve environmental literacy and consequently reduce carbon dioxide emissions. We can go on. With the project, we want to prove that with sufficient knowledge and information, almost everyone can have an impact on the environment. This is precisely the reason we wish to introduce the Green Penguin to a younger population, as they will embrace a sustainable lifestyle from an early age and share their knowledge with their society and others who are not involved in our project. This will lower the amount of energy and resources consumed, which will lower expenses and emissions as well. We can go on. So how does it work? On the one side, we have children which fight climate change in a fun and interactive way. And on another side, we have energy utilities which have an insight of energy consumption. We also have here schools which educate their students about carbon dioxide and reduce their energy consumption. This educational and didactic tool is targeted at children between the ages of 10 and 15. It is designed for phones, tablets, and computers. Students can learn how to be more sustainable through simple tasks, solving the quizzes, demonstration of impact of everyday activities, sharing ideas, and competition with their peers. Here on the screen, we see tabs of Green Penguin app. At first tab, home screen, we see the penguin and icebergs that growing when users complete challenges and lessons. On the right side, we see the tab knowledge, where users solve quizzes, unlock new lessons, and get some points for that. We can go on, please. Thank you. Here we see the tab Green Diary, where users complete the challenges in real life and mark them as done in the app. On the right side, we have leaderboard, where users can see their personal ranking or ranking of their school. It depends of which type of competition it is. And then at least we have also school carbon footprint tab, where users can see consumption of electricity, heating, water, and waste for their school. We can go on. Green Penguin on X and Instagram. You can also find us on our officially company website and on social media, where we share a content and educational post about how to save the planet and reduce our energy consumption. We're on X for older population and on Instagram for younger one. And the last one. Okay, future steps of the Green Penguin project. So, as you already heard before, the Green Penguin platform focuses primarily on schools, but can also be implemented for other public infrastructure, such as tourism, households, industry, or businesses. In the future, we would like to see the Green Penguin platform used in most schools inside and outside Slovenia and Norway, and integrated into the school curriculum or extracurriculum activities. To get this possibility of changing the curriculum in schools, we need the support of Ministry of Education. We hope that the use of Green Penguin platform in the pilot schools now will be a good demonstration that by making small changes in school, it is possible to change the habits of pupils, which will have a major impact on our planet in the future. That's it. Thank you for your time. That's all from my side. I'm open for any questions at the end. And yeah, thank you for sharing the screen, Emma.
Thank you, Adriana, and sincere apologies for technical issues. Things don't always work, but we have to improvise. And allow Mojca Wolf, also from Iskra Emeco, who would like to have a word. Mojca, I hope you can talk. Please unmute yourself. Yes. Do we hear you? Okay, we don't hear you. Could you put in the chat? We don't hear you. I'm really sorry. But Ursha, maybe you can make Mojca also a panelist. So she, is it possible? No, we can move on. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you again for the whole team of Green Penguin. And I just have to mention that Green Penguin project was actually born in 2021 of one of our hackathons. Like a great idea from the whole Iskra Emeco team. And we are really glad that the project is developing so well and receiving funding for innovation and further development, working collaboration with cities and schools. So thank you very much for being with us. Our next panelists come from the construction sector, but they are very interesting because they are selling actually well-being, healthy living, good air, indoor conditions. So globally, the building industry is responsible for more than a third of greenhouse gas emissions. In the European Union, it accounts for 40% of energy consumption. Lone Pfeiffer, Director of Sustainability and Architecture from Velux, will share insights into future of housing prototype living spaces, showing that it is possible to achieve decarbonization of construction sector by 2050 if the industry is willing to change. So dear Lone, thank you for being with us and looking forward to hear the project.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be able to present to you and to share the knowledge and also in particular listen to the previous speakers. I will show some slides and then I will actually try to do it so that we may have time to also have some questions. Excuse me. Okay, this is interesting. Let's see if it will work in full screen.
Yeah, we share now.
Yeah, it takes a while. Is it full screen?
No, now it's the complete presentation mode with black backgrounds and slides.
Is that better?
Yeah, this is perfect.
Okay, now it is in full presentation mode. Good. Okay. So I have brought a number of slides to talk about our visionary living places as affordable decarbonization in the building industry. I've sectioned it in a few points so that you are, when you get the slides, you're able to find out and section this. A few words about us. I think you already mentioned it, Anna. We see ourselves as a company that create well-being for people and planet by transforming spaces using daylight and fresh air. We have innovation DNA, which stems back to our founder that you see here experimenting with windmills on an island in Denmark many years ago. The background that we see is dark. It's been mentioned already a couple of times. We have quite a mission to accomplish, addressing CO2 emissions, but also the poor indoor climate, which affects our health. We have been working with this for more than 20 years. We have been partnering up in demonstration buildings to try to push and accelerate for the transition to more sustainable, healthier buildings. Also a few examples here from Slovenia. I know we have many participants, so the Luma house in Slovenia is here on your right. We see it as a household matter. We have the planet, we have one planet, we can only use it once. And the ecology is eco and logis. Eco is our home and logis is the household with which we manage the planet. And that is how we use the resources. And in particular, the topic of this, namely the cities. The optics that we use, excuse me, is the active house radar, because we see it as a holistic approach to see how can we balance the indoor climate, the people part with the environment, the planet, and then of course the energy, which is the economical aspect. We call it Build for Life, our approach onwards, these from 2020 to 2030, where we want to focus on how we can build and transform buildings. And we have set specific focus together with Effect Architects and Artelia Engineers on the project Living Places to see how we can create homes which are positive for people and planet. And the way we have approached it is fairly unique because we have we sat together before we knew exactly what we were doing or how it would look. And we joined forces to talk about the topic, and then came the design. So it doesn't start with the design, it's the challenge. And the first result are the 5 principles, of which I will focus only on time allowing on the healthy principle, which is again back to healthy for people and planet. And we try to compare to a typical Danish new build house, which has a footprint and technologies and materials. And then we say, what is it we do different? Because that is more relatable for many people who are not necessarily deep into the building industry. We have managed to cut 2/3 off and create an ultra low footprint in comparison to the benchmark house. And this happens by scrutinizing all the different parts of the building to look from operations, foundation, windows, doors, inner wall, basically be very critical on what is it that we use when we build. It is the full life cycle or the whole life carbon approach, also seen like this. And what we have done is to also look at the people part, the indoor climate, where a typical house has an indoor climate class 3. We bring 1. And this means that it is a healthier home, which is important to us because we spend 90% of our time indoors. And these are the aspects of daylight, the thermal environment, indoor air quality. And this then balances up, if you want to see how is the benchmark house performing, that is the inner darker green. And then we have defined 2 prototypes, which perform slightly different due to different ventilation principles. We have built the prototypes in Copenhagen last year for the World Congress of Architects, where Copenhagen was World Capital of Architecture. So to test it is definitely necessary, because in the building industry we need to see it happen, and we need to see it happen fast. And if we can do it together with our great partners, then others will be inspired and see, okay, well, if they can do it, so can we. And we've had the great pleasure of welcoming now more than 9,000 professionals to the site. So we keep it open again here in 2024. These are some views from inside, 2 different construction principles, ventilation principles and angles, but also a set of other buildings which function as pavilions, because it's very important what is outside our 4 walls. It's not just about the 4 walls. It's about how we can share and stimulate the feeling of community and belonging and feeling at home. Very important for a home. Also, when working with fewer square meters than typically. These homes are 147 square meters, and the average size of a new built home in Denmark is 213. There are some different functions in the different pavilions. We have had a lot of events. Sorry, this is the CLT, so cross-laminated timber. That is the one house that you can see, solid timber. We have a materials pavilion where we dive into biogene materials. There's nothing mineral in the houses, and they can breathe. They don't have vapor barriers. This is one of the exhibition pavilions, and here is the timber frame house, as you can see in the ceiling, how it is built. And a resource pavilion showing also how PV can integrate, which is, as the first speaker underlined, really necessary. So next step is to scale. We are working, or have already worked with it from 1.5 and up to 5 stories. Different typologies, contexts, greenfields, raise the roof, suburb, densification. And we will work with pioneer partners in different countries who would like to, as us, accelerate the speed with which we decarbonize our buildings. We invite you to come visit. If you are in Copenhagen, we welcome you, but also here you can take a virtual tour where you can see everything inside, outside, and check it out. And just today, we launched a film about our shared learnings. It's on a channel near you online, but otherwise here there is a link. And this is us as partners talking about the learnings and how we approached it. And the partners are the architects, Effect, Artelia engineers, and most importantly, actually the contractor, Enemark and Petersen. It was a very leveled partnership, and we have learned a lot, and we would like to share that also with the industry.
Thank you, Lone. It was a really interesting presentation and a great project. And since we are tight on time today, today's event is meant also to connect participants with the speakers. So if anyone would like to be connected, to get more knowledge or any kind of partnerships, please write us at the end, and we will be glad to connect you with any of our participants. Yes. Juliana, you have raised. Thank you, Lone. Thank you very much again. Juliana, you have a hand raise, if anything short, or it's okay. We don't hear you. So we go to our next panel. It's the projects and actually it's the partnerships. Today with us it's Erkki Perkele from Demos Helsinki. Erkki, I hope I pronounced your surname correctly. I'm
close enough.
Close enough. Okay, you can say it so we hear the right name.
Yes, it's Erkki Perälä from Demos Helsinki. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
So please, you come from Demos Helsinki. You are approaching different activities, climate governance, because the whole climate governance has to be redesigned, and you're approaching very interesting principles. So please explain us.
Thank you so much. So as I said, I come from Demos Helsinki, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak here in this very central topic of decarbonization of cities, which is a topic that is very close to my heart. So at the moment I'm working with implementing just transitions in cities and regions and planning and constructing the built environment in a regenerative way, which we had just heard a very concrete example of. So Demos Helsinki is a globally operating non-profit independent think tank. We consist about 50 people. Our mission is to lead a societal transformation towards a fair, sustainable, and joyful next era. We are based in Helsinki, but we operate globally. Our partners include governments, international organizations, NGOs, corporations, and universities around the globe. And through our work, we offer consultancy services, but also conduct research in different, for example, with Horizon Europe, to mention an instrument. For instance, we're also part of the EU Cities mission, working in the Net Zero Cities Consortium that Mr. Patrick Child just described in his opening keynote. Also, just to mention another ongoing project, we are in the EU's and UNDP's joint effort, Mayors for Growth, where we are collaborating with UNDP Istanbul to strengthen cities' capabilities to use urban transformation portfolios in bringing tangible benefits to the citizens. But we also work with other city networks, for example, C40. So, but the actual subject that I wanted to discuss today has to do with climate governance in cities. So climate governance could be defined as creating practices, structures, and culture that cities can use in leading their climate action forwards and towards their commonly agreed sustainability goals. And through our work with the cities worldwide, we've identified 4 of these modalities of climate governance that show kind of different locations where the interventions can be focused in cities. And each modality introduces key questions for how cities can recognize their agency and their role and lead the societal transformation that must occur during this decade. I'll just very briefly go through these. So the first one is the most kind of like traditional one is the domain-specific governance, which refers to the hard governance systems and strategies in specific domains, such as city planning, transport, or education in the city. So these are the you know that you put in your strategy and you implement in these certain sectors, changes that need to be done. But of course, it's not just about strategy. You also need a cultural change. So this refers to the softer governance mechanisms of culture and mindsets and so forth that you need to change within the cities, but also with your stakeholders in order to go towards these goals. Then I think today's kind of like topic relevant is the capacity for city ecosystem leadership. So this means the ways in which cities interact with and incentivize their whole city ecosystem that consists of, for example, private actors or universities or NGOs that work within the city. And this is especially important when you are talking about change. For example, consumption-based emissions, scope 3 emissions, something that the cities don't have direct say in, but they do need to then think how they can use their whole city ecosystem and engage all the relevant stakeholders within the city to go towards the common goals. Then the last one is the multi-level governance, which means how the cities collaborate with different levels of government, starting from the regional level to the national level to the EU level. And this connects, for example, with challenge that Mr. Patrick Child described in the beginning with the relationship between the mission cities and the national governments, that they have to make sure that the climate action on the local level and the national level are aligned. These all are obviously interconnected and overlapping, but they serve as a framework to look at different projects. And I will just very briefly introduce 2 projects that are connected to this work that we're doing. The first one is called Humble Timber, which we did a couple of years ago, and it connects actually also to what Lone Pfeiffer just mentioned about like kind of these very concrete ways in which you can reduce emissions in the construction sector. One of them is wood construction, and how to take these forward. So we use this kind of model of humble governance that we developed with with Professor Charles Sable from Columbia Law School, but we also have developed this with the Prime Minister's office in Finland. And it's a project where you can have multiple stakeholders, or a process where you can have multiple stakeholders and work together, forming a thin consensus, experiment, have peer learning mechanisms, and then feedback to the start. So we use this model to convene actors key to the construction sector to identify bottlenecks and co-create solutions for mainstreaming large-scale timber construction in Finland. And this has just taken its first steps, but it's very effective in trying to address big societal problems. The other one I just want to mention is we are part of the Finland's circular economy Green Deal project and implementing it, where we also had a multi-stakeholder process where we identified bottlenecks, systemic bottlenecks of circularity, built a collective dialogue around them to identify the agency and incentives for action for different organizations, while also link it to the knowledge production and policy development. So this is also a very good example of a project where you need multiple stakeholders getting aligned and go towards the common goals. But as I only had 5 minutes, I will now stop. And if you have any questions, please contact me by email, and you will get also my contact information from Anna. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Erkki. It was really interesting to hear this top-down approach and then some concrete actions, how collaboration is important and not very difficult, and it has to be changed on several layers. Thank you again. With next speaker with us is also from Blocks Hub, also Holljund Nilsson. Great to have you with us. We are partners in the Desire project, and you are presenting Nordic Sustainability Hub. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. So I hope you see my screen now, and thank you so much, Anna, for having me here. I'm also Holljund Nilsson from, and thank you for trying to pronounce my name. It's very difficult. I'm working at Blocks Hub, which is the Nordic hub for sustainable urbanization. And as you mentioned, Anna, we are also collaborating in a project. I will briefly come into this in a second. Blocks Hub is three things, first of all, but it's more things as well. It's first of all a space. It's a place where you can rent an office and co-work with partners who are like you or not like you. It's also a community where we have a lot of activities, different workshops, debates, talks, and also a lot of social events, because that's important if you want to collaborate. And that is also addressing what both Mr. Child and Lone Pfeiffer were speaking about, the need to collaborate, the need to really work together to solve some of these big issues we're working with. And then it's also partnership, because we are involving enterprises, both public and private companies, across a wide variety of sectors: architecture, construction, engineering, manufacturing, consulting, data service design, and even more, as long as they are focusing and working with sustainable urbanization. This includes some of our members. We have a bit more than 350 members who we collaborate with. We are also partnering up with more than 40 organizations and taking part and collaborating with more than 40 networks in different activities. What we are doing is really to scout where are the companies with the ideas, the needs, and also the competencies and capacities for collaborating, and then curate them into what we call validated matches, where we are setting up different initiatives, workshops, or in any case, facilitating collaboration in order to support their business development, but also to support the main ambition of creating sustainable urbanization. And designing the irresistible circular society is one of the examples of the collaboration that we are doing. Desire is an EU-funded project within New European Bauhaus. It's one of the first 6 lighthouse demonstrator projects. And this is where we are collaborating with CER and Anna, of course, and her colleagues. Desire is about delivering a new vision for the built environment. And we believe by designing products, services, experiences, and systems to be irresistible, we are able to aim for a future where sustainability in urban transformation becomes so attractive that it barely seems like a choice. And this is what we have taken on as a sort of ambition for the next 2 years, or we are actually heading towards the end of the project, to test and experiment with 5 principles that we have co-created together. 5 principles that are sort of lenses or perspectives on how can you create or design an irresistible circular society, which are the ingredients that you should be considering and include in your transformation process and learning journey. And the aim is to test these, or what we have been doing is to test these principles in territorial interventions in different sites in Europe and also in Denmark, of course, because this project is developed by BlockSUB together with some of its members and its partners, and do it through co-created experimentation by using also scenarios and speculative design. We are using different transdisciplinary and participatory approaches and also multi-level engagement. We are doing it at 3 different sites in Denmark, which you see here very briefly, and also 5 European sites, of which one is in Ljubljana, the BTC city. And we're all doing this within the domains that are sort of defining whatever BlockSUB is doing. Cities are systems is one of the domains, cities are nature is another domain, and cities are communities. And this is just an example of how we collaborate with our members and our partners within these 3 domains with specific projects and initiatives. I think this is what my time is up for, and I see that you're looking at me, so I'll just stop sharing. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you, and it's really great to be part of that project. I must say that in 2 years we learned many new principles and methodologies, how to collaborate, and how you are building. We are learning from you how you are approaching building new partnerships and actually changing mindset and activities, and looking forward until the end of the project, and hope maybe even get another one to work with you in the future. Thank you. So next presentation will be focused on mobility. We have Urbanie Richa, Research and Project Assistant from Institute of Spatial Policies, IPOP, which is supporting communities towards sustainable urban development. Urban, you will present partnerships in the sustainable mobility, because you're working on a lot of projects on this topic.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me share the screen. Okay, here we go. I'm Urbanie Richa. I come from IPOP, Institute for Spatial Policies, based in Ljubljana, Slovenia. So we are an NGO from Slovenia. Therefore, our initiatives are designed to uplift and support communities. We build cross-sector partnerships and foster multi-level interdisciplinary approach with transparent public engagement to ensure inclusivity and diverse input. In the topic of mobility, we are committed to influencing the change of habits. We try with one quick intervention to aim to achieve a long-lasting effect. So let me present you with 3 examples of our work. In the small town of Tržič, we have developed a parking policy. We've joined forces with a development agency and a mobility consultant to ensure a comprehensive approach. Our goal was clear: to manage public space efficiently and to influence traffic patterns for the better. The cornerstone of our policy was public participation. Therefore, we involved citizens at every stage, from the conception to implementation, to ensure their voices shape the outcome. The results are quite impressive, I would say. We've seen a 20% reduction in parked cars and 19% increase in public satisfaction just in the half of a year. Therefore, we've paved the way for a higher quality of built environment. The next project is a corporate mobility plan for a company called SIBO-G. Our main message here is simple yet profound. You don't need to buy a car to commute to work. And this is the benefit of a sustainable mobility. So, in collaboration with Municipality of Škofja Loka, development agency SORA, and consultants from CIPRA, we have crafted a plan that's both ambitious and practical. And our approach was simple. We started with an analysis, we established a clear vision and goals, and we then developed a robust action plan and implemented a system for continuous monitoring. The results are encouraging. In just 1 year, we've witnessed a 7% increase in sustainable travel to work among employees. And therefore, this is a testament of the effectiveness of the plan, its successful promotional activities, and the willingness of people to embrace the change. The last project here I would like to present you is a bike to work campaign, Polni Zagona, which we could translate into English like full of momentum or full of drive. Here we are focused on our key target, the employees as a part of the general public. We're here to share a simple, let's say, truth. Cycling is not just the best way to commute to work, it is social and fun experience. And so with the support of Ministry and Urban Planning Institute, we've created a platform that brings together cyclists and sponsors, and it launches twice a year to maximize the impact. And what is the impact? In the year 2023 alone, so in the last year, over 200,000 kilometers were cycled. And it is touching half of the municipalities across Slovenia. This is not just kilometers. That's a movement already. So what are the next projects that we are looking upon? If they support communities towards sustainable urban development, then count on us. We're here.
Thank you very much, Urban. Cer is with you also in another project by Norwegian Mechanism, Smart Move, where we are trying to help employees to make better employee commuting to work. We are coming to the end of this project, and we learned a lot of each other from different partners, and this project are really important for changing our habits and helping decarbonization of the cities. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Our next presentation goes into the energy area, which is actually the biggest system of all the systems that humans have ever produced, designed. We have with us Boštjan Rimic, expert associate from Focus, Association for Sustainable Development, which is committed to promoting comprehensive socio-economic changes towards a decent life within planetary boundaries. So, Boštjan, we are glad to hear one of your latest projects, private-public partnerships of community solar farms. You were faced also with issues, and we would like to hear how you are opening the doors to this kind of project.
Yeah, dober dan. Hello to everyone. Just to start with the sharing.
Okay, maybe you just put the view mode.
Okay, yep.
Because we see the slides on the left.
You only see the slides?
Yeah, we see the small slides on the left, but maybe there is some issues that now
Okay.
everything
Now it's okay?
No, obviously there is one issue, but maybe you just, okay. Yeah, but then Yeah,
Sorry.
let's stay.
It should
like
work because I'm using the presentation mode. And
I know, but we already had this issue before. We are
sorry.
very
Okay.
sorry.
Then
Yeah.
let's just use the
Screen
small
scroll.
version. I think it will be good enough.
Yeah.
So
Please.
we don't waste any time because 5 minutes is not a lot. I'll just jump into the project. Yeah, as you have already said, Anna, we're a environmental agency working on a broad field of work, and our latest, or in the last years, energy communities has been one of our focus issues. And let's start with the first slide. Okay, maybe I hope at least presentation will work. Otherwise,
It works. It works.
Okay, great. Okay, so what you see here is a photo of a primary school in Hrastnik. Hrastnik is not a city. It is a town in Zasavie region, which is an old mining region, now quite socially devastated. And there we managed to build a project that I think is quite interesting, and it could be a lighthouse for a movement, like the speaker before said, for movement of energy communities. Here you can, on the photo, you can see some panels of a solar power plant. These are not the all panels. The whole power plant has 300 kilowatts of power. And this power plant is owned and managed by the Zeleni Hrastnik energy cooperative. And this power plant powers one of the first, or the first energy community in Slovenia that is based on the model that we will see. So the energy community is called Sončna šola Hrastnik. And this power plant, which is set up on the roof of the primary school, is powering 16 households, 2 public institutions, the municipality and the pool or the recreational center, and 2 or 3 local buildings of local economy. So 2 shops and small offices here in next to in the same block of flats that these 16 households are situated. And they all are powered by this cooperatively owned power plant, solar power plant. So all of these actors in the energy community are more or less self-sufficient regarding their energy supply. And what is the important, of course, energy communities, probably have all heard of them being something that is quite developed in, let's say, Austria, also Belgium and other places around Europe, Greece. But the case of Sončna šola Hrastnik is very important because I think you can also see it as a reinterpretation of a public-private partnership. As academic research shows, public-private partnerships usually benefit the private interest over the public, or at the expense of public. But here it's another way of building this partnership. So the municipality, the public institutions in Hrastnik, the households and representatives of local economy all join together to form a cooperative. So a cooperative as an let's say democratic company where everybody is involved with small shares, and it works especially in the benefit of the local community, of those who are present in the area and those who participate in the cooperative. And why I think the cooperative model of a self-consumption energy community. So this energy community does not sell electricity, it cuts the costs of electricity of all involved. So all of the actors will have, for the first 13 years, approximately 1/3 smaller cost of electricity, and in the next, let's say, 16 or 17 or 18 or 19 years, we will see how long the power plant will be operating. It's expected for around 30 years. So the remaining years, the costs of electricity for all the actors involved in solar school harassment will be 2/3 lower. Of course, by being in a cooperative, in this new partnership, they all own their production capacities, so they become prosumers, not only consumers, passive consumers of electricity, but they also own their own production capacities, and in this sense are, of course, much less under stress of market volatility. What is also important is by building this kind of partnership, you can mobilize small private finance for the green transition. So everybody from who is involved in the energy community paid 150 euros per 1 kilowatt of power. So an average household paid around 60 to 700 euros. 600 to 700 euros, of course. And this is also very important because it is a case of green transition, how people can really benefit. They can be part of it and can benefit. So we see today a lot of, let's say, resistance towards politics of green transition, especially in the level of EU. And here is a case of a just green transition that can keep the benefits in the local community. So this is a very short presentation and introduction. There's a lot of complex issues that were solved. It is true, as Anna said before. It's very important that we manage to legally put municipality in the cooperative. This wasn't the case here in Slovenia before. It was understood that this is not possible. And of course, the bottom-up process of community building was also very, very important. And this is also, as I said before, just a short introduction, and I'll be very glad to answer questions today here at the conference, or any questions arise, please contact me via my email. So thank you.
Christian, thank you very much for the presentation of this complex project, which is actually involving many stakeholders, changing the regulations and bringing benefits to all of us. Thank you again. Our third panel will be focused on city practices. We have with us 3 Slovene cities, which are part of the Mission 100 Climate Neutral Cities, and Netherlands, so Amsterdam, from Denmark, Aarhus, and Trondheim from Norway. Firstly, we have with us Tove Lill Carlsen, Climate Communication Advisor from Environmental Unit from Municipality of Trondheim. Great to have you with us, and we are looking forward to hear your interesting project.
Thank you so much, and thank you for those kind words in presenting me. I'll quickly see if I can share my screen, and hopefully, it seems to be working.
Yes, it works.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity to talk a little bit about what we think might be our best practices. I'm phrasing it like this because we haven't really started yet. First of all, I thought it would be a nice idea to present to you or introduce you to Trondheim. Trondheim is Norway's 3rd largest city. We're centered in the middle of the country. We have a population of approximately 215,000 people. University and research institution or knowledge production has been kind of our core industry, dating all the way back to the 11th century. So we're quite proud of that. It's an old city, but it do have a young population, much thanks to the 37,000 students that choose to come to Trondheim to pursue an academic career. So 1/6 of our inhabitants are students. That's that plays a vital part in the city's culture, I think. So we are also proud to be be part of the EU City Mission, even though we're not a fully EU member. So we are part of the 112 cities that are chosen to be in the forefront and dedicated to becoming decarbonized by 2030, 20 years before the rest of the EU. Being a pilot city also gives us the opportunity to take part in the pilot city program. And this year we finally got the thumbs up and in cohort 2. So we are excited to start this project, which is aiming to tackle our major main emission domains in the city. So I'd like you to have a quick glimpse at our emission domains, just to get a better understanding of what we're dealing with. We have 3 major domains. Road transport, I suspect, is high in most cities, as it is in our city. Waste incineration and district heating production is our second largest domain or source of CO2 emissions. And off-road vehicles, which is mainly connected to the construction domains. Construction activities are the third ones. So if we could just take the yellow one out of the picture, that will really be a difference, that will make a difference for the city. So, and that's what we wanted to do in our call for the pilot city program. We want to implement carbon capture and storage to the waste to energy plant in the city. And I think that will give us major leap towards decarbonization. The emissions from this pipe, from this plant, is 220,000 tons of emission yearly, and it's 50-50 more or less with biogenic and fossil CO2. So that will certainly be a good achievement for us if we could get rid of those. The plant receives residual waste from more than 70 municipalities all across mid-Norway. And it also supplies the city with a very much needed thermal energy through 250 kilometers of district heating grid. So it's quite an important player for us. So how do we intend to do this? And I'm so happy to hear so many of the other speakers have been talking about how important it is to include and go and start a dialogue with the city's inhabitants. And that's what we think is maybe the most important thing that we can do as well. So citizen engagement is crucial for us to succeed with this. And we think that having an enthusiastic and engaged citizens and businesses and other key stakeholders can speed up the decarbonization across all domains. Our pilot will give us insights into what role collaborative tools such as stakeholder dialogue, citizen assemblies, and other can play in securing societal acceptance, not only for CCS, so the measure itself, but also for a much needed business model that we need to succeed with capturing all this carbon. So the other point is that we need to establish a viable business model. There are many players in action here, and it's quite complex private-public partnership that is needed in order to succeed. And it has to be fair for all parties involved, and there are issues here that are not kind of completely matured yet. How will CO2 taxes, biogenic quotas, etc. play into this? And there's a lot of logistics that need to be in place, and perhaps even we can look into carbon CCUS, carbon capture, utilization and storage. Maybe that might be a market there as well. So these are important factors for us to consider going ahead with this project. So, and finally, our third goal, maybe the perhaps even most important one, is that we need or want to apply lessons learned from this to other domains as well. We know that in order to become climate neutral by 2030, it will be necessary to implement urgent and perhaps even intrusive climate measures in the city and upon its inhabitants. And we want to make sure as best we can that the green transition is just and fair for all, not to leave anyone behind. We want to use our 2 years in this pilot program wisely, and we want to be able to apply our lessons learned to maintain a good dialogue with the citizens in hopes of bringing all on board for a green and just transition on our path to decarbonization. So the choices we make today, they will have a great impact on our future.
Thank you, Tove, for presenting this innovative project, which I think you are among the pioneers of carbon capture storage technologies. It will be necessary to have more of them and to learn from practices like yours. Thank you very much. Our next speaker comes from Slovenia, from municipality of Kranj, Tomáš Lanišek. Development and smart city manager, will present how they are approaching smart and sustainable cities. Tomáš, welcome.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you to all the ladies and gentlemen that are on this much esteemed conference. We are glad to share some of the best practices from the third biggest city in Slovenia, the city of Kranj. As we say, we are together with other 99 plus 12 cities in the big family of more than 75 million inhabitants of European Union and other countries that need to become carbon neutral 20 years before the others. The city of Kranj is not only mission city, it's also the pilot city and the twin city. That's a good company to be with. And we did a lot of things already before we actually applied for this, because our mayor, Matjaž Rakovec, was very much aware of the fact that we need to have the right toolkit. And this is also one of the reasons why the city of Kranj went very intensively into become the digital transition city in order to become also carbon neutral. And there are a lot of different projects going on this area. But for these couple of minutes that we can have together with you, we can just let you know about 6 biggest projects that were already tackled so far, and that according to the, I would say, Pareto, bring 80% of the goal. And the city of Kranj we need to become carbon neutral by 2030 with a lot of different actions, and 6 major actions actually will bring to the goal of becoming carbon neutral. Just for letting you know, so this mayor actually has the official, I would say, mission now in the area of 1 car per household only, which is a very, I would say, not a very humble mission, but for sure a big thing. But if you want to get rid of some of the cars, and some of the best practices were already showed during this course of presentations, is that you need to make the sharing economy up and running on one hand, and the public transportation really working well. So with this measure, the city of Kran want to pretty much get rid of 8,000 vehicles by 2030. In order to have the reduced traffic congestion and lower emissions. One of the very important things is also that we actually implemented as the first city in Slovenia 100%, or we go into the 100% electric buses. We have more than half of the fleet already working on electrical buses, and together with other measures like district heating and cooling from the renewable resources are actually coming. Is bringing Kran into that area. Definitely the renewables are up and running. We had 2 courses of action already, and one is underway. The waste heat for industrial and commerce building is one of the hot topic now, according to our, I would say, the investment plan as well as the action plan is having the Labore area where the excess heating from the industry is to actually convert it into the heating for the multi-dwelling houses, and this is one of the things that we need to do together in the next 7 years, and we are very optimistic to actually getting there. Then the infrastructure for the hydrogen and e-vehicles. We are the first municipality in Slovenia that has the e-mobility there. For sure, all 130 vehicles in the schools, kindergartens, the pool car of the, I would say, the city, as well as the waste management company that is there. We have it under e-mobility with 100% having them e-cars. But the most important thing is, of course, that we have the e-charging stations there, and we produce the whole electricity for those cars by ourselves. And now the next move is the hydrogen infrastructure, together with the Slovenian Army on one hand, and the consortium that we are going to be a part of from Friday on, together with some Japanese partners. Solar power plants and energy storage is one of the very important things for the city of Kran. A lot was done so far, and we are now going into the so-called zadruge, so the sharing ownership of the solar power plants on the public places. Some people cannot have the possibility to actually install these kind of things at home, and they will be able to actually apply for the co-ownership of these solar plants in the city of Kran. And last but not least, for sure, smart waste management, which is the name of the game all over the world. Our company is very much aware of that, and they are doing a lot of things on that. So in the future, a lot of calls for action will be there, and some cooperation with other stakeholders for sure there. To conclude this short presentation, a lot of things can be done, but we have to actually have the whole infrastructure up and running. This is one of the reasons why the city of Kran has the digital platform with the common data lake already up and running. We are now just in these days combining it with the smart city card that is based on the Visa standard, meaning you can use it all over the world. But what is the most important is, of course, to have all the public services on this card, so as well as the identity and payment is concerned, and then combination of these possibilities with the private sector also. So one of the reasons why we impose it is actually to actually change the habits of the people into the green transition. So not only using the stick effect that cities or governments can always do, but to use the most important thing, which is in the minds of the people, is the carrot effect. So positive vibes in order to change the habits in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tomasz, for this brief presentation of your most important projects that would contribute to decarbonization. We will have a pleasure to have you with us later in the roundtable, since the mayor will not be able to join us due to emergent activities he had to attend. So thank you for now.
Thank you, Anna.
Our next speaker comes from municipality of Aarhus in Denmark. Vibke Jensen, head of employment and senior consultant, will present a new project that you just went into, and it's very interesting topic. So glad to have you with us, Vibke.
Thank you very much. Yeah, as you said, you have this EU project called Imperfect City, located in the city of Aarhus, and the Imperfect City is look into that we have challenges in the city with buildings, renewal of buildings, also challenges about the citizens, how do young, vulnerable people get into work, and so on. So one of the main tasks for our program here is to combine areas with buildings, citizens, and city. And I want to change.
Vibke, could you speak a little bit more to the microphone, because we don't hear you really very well?
Oh, what do we do there? Is it better now?
Yeah, a little bit better, yeah.
A little bit better. What should we do?
Just continue, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The Imperfect City, as I just mentioned, has three topics: buildings, citizens, and the city of Aarhus. And we have received from the Bauhaus program 37 million euros, and the rest is financed by the city itself. And what we are trying to do here is a new approach combining employment, health, and sustainability and culture. And we have this building in the northern part of the city of Aarhus. It's a former house of school of journalism. It was going to be torn down, but the main building was not allowed to be torn down. So it is built from an NGO in the city, and now we are working on how to combine this area. One of the central things also in the project is that the building is housing a museum for which has art from vulnerable peoples with psychiatric patients. So we are trying to combine these areas in this old building, and the building is going to be renewed. One of the central things in the project is that we have 12 partners. Of course, the municipality of Aarhus, who has co-founded a great deal, but also social economic enterprises, people working with mental health organizations, also sort of properties owners in the area, the museum, and the school in the area, and business organizations. And what we are in the central thing of our program also is all these kind of partners who is supporting the program doing in the north of the city in this building, which was going to be torn down. We have these three areas, the imperfect buildings, the imperfect citizens, and the imperfect city. And what we are talking about in this area is, if you talk about the imperfect people, it is the people who need support. They are vulnerable young people, and there is the patients from the psychiatric hospital who is nearby in the area. And we are working on that these people are getting jobs, properly jobs in the area. And some of the business in the area are reaching out to get job openings for vulnerable people who is getting better after they left the psychiatric hospital. And of course, the city of Aarhus is very keen on this project, because you combine an old building getting renewal and also one of the challenges in the big cities, and Aarhus is the second largest city in Denmark. And I think I'm sure a lot of other cities has the same challenge of people with vulnerability, psychiatric programs is needed, and so on. So the core thing about our project is to combine these areas. We have a 3.5 years program from the Bauhaus program, and what we have, as you see here, we have a lot of work packages. It is a EU program which is fairly complicated to manage because we have so many actors and different agendas. Also, we have to reach out to Europe, and we have 3 transfer cities: Portugal, in the Netherlands, and Hungary. So the program is just started here a month ago, and is going to be 3.5 years, and we are looking forward to get inspiration from the other cities in Europe, but also to work together in these 3 areas: the houses, the people, and the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Wiebke. We wish you a good path on this project, because yes, it's true. Many things are imperfect, and we have to look at it from this perspective as well. Thank you for being with us.
Welcome.
Our next presentation comes from the city of Ljubljana. Milan Dinevski, technical assistant, who was active in the preparation of action plan, which has to be now set by the 15th of March, the mission city. So Milan, the stage is yours.
Hi, first of all, thank you, Anna, for the invitation, and for Sarah for preparing this interesting conference, and all the familiar faces in the panel. So yes, I'm representative I'm Milan Dinevski from the city of Ljubljana, employee in the Department of Environmental Protection that is carrying on the behalf of the city of Ljubljana this green transformation, which part of which is this Mission 100 climate neutral and smart cities, and the contract that you mentioned before that we are just about to send it. So I will start first with, can you see my presentation first?
We do. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, first of all, I would like to say some interesting things about Ljubljana. This path of environmental consciousness and kind of green development started already 16 years ago, but the first confirmation that the city is on the right path or a positive path was the 2016 European Green Capital Award that the city received. And it was a validation that the city achieved highest environmental standards and is committed to ambitious goals towards future environmental improvements and sustainable development. Since then, also the award came for Ljubljana because it kind of succeeded in making the most changes in the right direction in the shortest period of time. So since then, Ljubljana implemented around 1,800 projects, such as sustainable mobility, closing of the city center, preservation of the city green identity and areas, and so on. So fast forward to the present, the city of Ljubljana is selected as one of the EU Mission 100 climate neutral and smart cities by 2030 to act as an experimentation and innovation hub, and also to have the role as to be an example for other European cities to follow suit by 2050. So Ljubljana is about to submit the Mission City Climate City contract, or shortly CCC, which is a comprehensive, accurate, factual, well-rounded, and the most up-to-date strategic document for the greater city area of Ljubljana. It includes an overall plan for climate neutrality across all sectors, such as energy, mobility, and transport.
Milan, just one thing, you're still on the first slide. Are you changing the slides?
Okay, sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, this is Ljubljana. And this was the award about the European Green Capital. And now we are about to submit the CCCC. And it is the plan, the comprehensive strategy includes an overall plan for climate neutrality across all sectors, such as energy, mobility, transport, the built environment, waste management, green infrastructure, also solutions or approaches such as nature-based solutions, etc. The plan consists of action plan, related action plans in all these fields, investment plan, and the most importantly is the commitment plan of all stakeholders and important players that can contribute to the positive change and enable the green transition to make it possible, to make it happen. It involves, the plan involves local authorities, citizens, businesses, investors, as well as regional and national authorities. As foreseen in the implementation plan, Ljubljana Mission Cities takes a cross-sectoral and demand-led approach, creating synergies between existing initiatives and activities on the actual needs of the citizens. So to prepare the contract or the mission city, Ljubljana counted all the emissions across sectors and prepared strategies on how to reduce them. It is surprisingly has 8.3 tons per citizen, which is way above the average of Europe. So each individual have to take part, adopt, and make the changes. With the climate city contract, the city is showing that Ljubljana is showing that it has an ambitious plan, but it's also aware that the goal can only be achieved by involvement of all stakeholders, especially the private sector. So this is also kind of an appeal to contact us, get to know about the plan, visit us, and start the conversation and make this change possible altogether. So Ljubljana has an extensive experience and realized many successful projects through the public-private partnership, some of which is the energy renovation, bicycle share system, to name a few. Therefore, the city will continue with partnerships and agree upon partnership and engage the private sector throughout all the sectors.
Thank you, Milan. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. You're opening a new info point in the center by the market, and I hope that it's already open.
Yes, it is. It is on Pogačarjevo Trg 3, and it is part of the upscale project. That is part of the mission, one of the pilot projects of the mission that we are together with our partners from Kranj and Velenje. And it serves the purpose of bringing the complex topics of climate neutrality, decarbonization, green transformation, technology innovation closer to the public. And it's a place open for collaboration, and yes.
Thank you for the invitation. We would be glad to visit. Thank you for being with us.
Bye.
Okay. Our next speaker comes from the municipality of Velenje, Julijana Šumić. So Julijana, glad to have you with us to present a little bit different perspective, because your city has a completely different history than most of the others we've heard today. Welcome.
Hello, just a second. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we see.
Thank you. Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for invitation to participate at this conference. I work in Economic Development and Transition Office in Municipality of Velenje. In just 5 minutes, I will try to present you our city, main challenges and best practices with it. Of course, with one common goal to achieve climate neutrality, and all that with focus to maintain and improve high quality of life in our city. Velenje is a young coal mine city that was planned as garden city or town in a park, but the expansion of coal mining and production of electricity damaged the environment extensively. In 1980s, the production of coal and electricity expanded to its higher numbers. The landscape was damaged and the environment was very polluted. And the awareness of the importance of clean and healthy environment rose drastically in that period. So the ecological protests took place in the city center. This movement was very successful, not only in the civil society, but also politically. And the result was 3 first ecological remediation programs adopted by City Council. And it took 15 to 20 years and a lot of cooperation among different stakeholders and citizens to implement them. But we can say that today we live in one of the cleanest environments in Slovenia. And this is how it looks today. The environment parameters are good, and we are at this once polluted area developing tourism. But now is time to take one step forward. And this is the reason why we decided to apply to Mission and for Green Leaf Board. By taking the right action, we can significantly contribute to the Green Deal, and the most important, we can offer our citizens better living environment. And Velenje is today on breaking point. So-called black excavation will stop in 2033, according to adopted the national strategy for coal mining and restructuring. In the next decade, we have to provide new jobs and reemploy a lot of people. We have to find a new green source for our district heating system. And since we are strongly connected to energy sector, and we gain a lot of knowledge during the last decades, we believe this is still our prime field for future development. Now, of course, in more green, sustainable, and efficient way. But when we talk about what we already did, Velenje is as planned garden town, very convenient for active modes of mobility. Large pedestrian zones and lot of greenery makes it ideal for walking or cycling on short journeys. And we started with larger improvements in 2008 when we introduced free local bus, and in 2012 bike sharing system. In 2017 we adopted SUMP, and the intensive investments and awareness raising in mobility had begun. And today we are proud of a wide network of pedestrian and cycling infrastructure, free local bus, demand responsive transport, e-charging stations for cars and bikes, and many others. But we work intensively on future development of sustainable mobility. This is also one of the areas where the individual can do the most. And it is also quite important area in our action plan for achieving climate neutrality. But to achieve anything, we must change the mindset, and we are talking about all levels. And this is something that unfortunately don't happen overnight. We change, we move, we grow. This is the slogan for our Green Year as holders of a Green Leaf Award. And when we talk about governance changes, we adopted guidelines for sustainable events. These guidelines are now implemented into our municipal calls for co-financing different activities and events. And in general, we are focusing to produce less waste. And one big step was organizing big events without single-use plastic cups. In this way, we produce 90% less waste at events. We also want to encourage the reduction of waste, which is why our reuse center started a new project, the establishment of Library of Things. This is a non-profit lending facility for different items for work and pleasure. And this was really shortly just few of our activities that will help us achieve climate neutrality. And when we talk about collaboration, we are open for different solutions in the field of mobility. And if you know how to convince people to use active modes of mobility, let us know. So please write us or call us. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana, and congratulations for all your activities and the progress you have made for the city become much better. And yes, the invitation goes to the providers of mobility solutions, and I think also many others. And we are looking forward to come to spend holidays in your beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Last but not least, the presentation from Amsterdam will be held by Bas Horsting, Senior Advisor on Sustainable Urban Development of Municipality of Amsterdam. Bas, looking forward to hear about the great projects you are having.
Thank you very much, and thank you also for the invitation. Yeah, I would like to take you along on what we are doing in Amsterdam. And my name is Bas Horsting. I'm an advisor on sustainable urban development. I'm also the lead in implementing circular built environment principles in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam, we have hang on, I'm going wrong here. No, hang on. Yeah, our climate goals are to have a reduction of 60% of CO2 in 2030, to be gas-free in 2040, and in 2050 to be completely a circular city, to have a circular economy and be climate neutral. We develop sustainability on we develop sustainability on 6 pillars. Those are stated in our environmental vision. They range from climate adaptation to being a waste-free, energy neutral society. And we have different programs to reach goals on each of them. I will here focus on the circular built environment. There's quite interesting partnerships there. And the one thing that we notice is that it's very easy to set a goal. Where do we want to be in 2030, or where do we want to be in 2040? But when we look outside that little box, then we see it's a very complicated process of actually getting from A to B. And we're right in the middle of that. And I would like to share a couple of examples here. How do we steer towards a sustainable city? Well, there's a couple of ways that we do that. One, by regulation. European, local, and urban policies guide that. And we do that also a lot in collaboration. We have a lot of partnerships. There's a covenant wood construction that we agreed in the metropolitan area to, in 2025, produce 20% of the housing with timber construction. And we also work across our borders in the Euro-Delta region with Belgium and Germany. And we are part of the Urban Land Institute Europe. Concrete on the projects, we are challenging innovation through our new land tenders, where we aim to get very good results. We have a scoring system where 30% of the points go to sustainability in each project, and they give us very good results. And we also try to share our knowledge with the market parties, with different partners. We have quite a large department of urban planning. There's project managers, over 100 project managers, and the spatial department has over 700 people working for it. So it's quite big. What we see now is there's a lot of projects being developed through our tendering and our covenant of wood construction. We have roughly about 30 projects that are very much circular, a lot of them with timber construction. And I'd like to single out a few. This is Habitat Royal. This is quite an expensive development, but it is CO2 negative and it is energy positive. So the bio-based materials in this project, they store more CO2 than the emission is of the process of building it. And another one is this one. It's called Robin Wood in a new area called Centrum Island. This was also a tender. It's made of modular wood structures, and it's affordable housing, but of a very high standard. And also here, the development is a carbon sink. It stores more CO2 than is being emitted with construction. How do we achieve this? There are several partnerships that we are working in. For example, to develop a language of circular building, we are working with Cirkelstad. There's a municipalities part of that program, but also banks, developers, builders, advisors, and we together developed a language to talk about and to indicate circular building. And we see that now developing. For our public real estate, we are promoting innovative partnerships. So we have building consortia that can build multiple schools, very sustainable and within the budget that is set. We just started this year, and it appears very successful. And also in the Euro-Delta, we have just started a European project working together with Germany and Belgium to see how we can organize spatially the circular built environment, see what each area is specific in. For example, in Holland, we don't have enough trees to support building in timber, but our land is very much suitable for bio-based insulation, for example. So we see how we can work with other regions and how we can strengthen each other to make sure we get our building materials from as close as possible. And then finally, we are in this whole complex world of partnerships and finding out, but we continuously try to be in contact on a European scale, on a project scale, tying into our structure vision of 2050. And also, not the least, we also work with some parties. There's, for example, a couple of architects that made this book, The Flexible City, and we shared a couple of our best practices. And in that way, we also try to work together with other countries to commonly accelerate the transition to a sustainable Europe. And that is my final thing. And hopefully then in Amsterdam, we will be Paris-proof in 2050.
Congratulations. It was really impressive to hear about all these projects, especially about the wood construction, how you are implementing it in the city in different projects and sticking to the budget. So looking forward to learn from your experience. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
So finally, we come to the roundtable debate to go deeper with our invited panelists to hear their ambitions, collaboration between local communities, the government, and the banks. So with us today, there are Gregor Reichenberg, Vice Mayor of Municipality of Maribor, Tomasz, hello Gregor.
Hi.
Tomasz Laniszek, again, we already met him instead of the mayor of municipality Kran. Tomasz, welcome. Peter Gersic, Head of Development Project Office of Municipality of Novo Mesto. Hello, Peter. Gaspar Jež, Project and Export Financing Expert at SIT Banka, Slovenian Development Bank. I hope I pronounced correct. Gaspar? Oh, you are mute. You're still mute. We don't hear you. No. Okay, do we hear you, Gaspar? No. No, we have technical issues with you. So please. And the last lady who should be the first, but the last are the first. So Tina Kubilšek, Head of Climate Policy Department, Ministry of Environment and Climate, Ministry of the Environment, Climate and Energy. So Tina, kindly welcome to be with us. And I give the whole panel to my colleague, Žiga Čebulj, Sustainability Manager Advisor. Žiga.
Okay, hello everybody. Hi, Anna, thank you very much for putting together such a nice conference. My brain is popping with new ideas. I'm totally glad that we were able to see some very good practices in EU and also in Slovenia. And now let's get hands-on. Let's discuss this EU mission, becoming climate neutral by 2050, or in some cases even earlier, being 2030. And as we have already heard, the city of Kran, Velenje, and Ljubljana, who are all participating in this EU mission, we quite know about their goals, and we will come back later on to them. But with us is also Mr. Reichenberg from Maribor, being the second largest city in Slovenia. Mr. Reichenberg, how does Maribor, what's Maribor doing actually in this green transition on the path toward the climate neutrality? Have you set some goals? How ambitious are you? What's going on in Maribor? Please.
First of all, thank you for organizing such a nice conference, and thank you for inviting us as a municipality of Maribor. Maribor is, ambitious city. So it's, I don't have to say anything more. So we are using these benefits of this nice topography, in which Maribor is settled in. We have this huge river, which is 140 meters broad. And we have this, on the northern part, we have this wine region, which is also determining the energy of the city. And on the south, we have this huge mountain Pohorje, which is like governing the city like a mama, I would say. It's like a mother of the city. Right? So the goal of, of reaching the carbon neutrality is a really serious goal in our city. We have just recently adopted the local energy and climate concept, which stated that Maribor aims to be climate neutral by 2040. A roadmap towards climate neutrality is being prepared, covering the key steps the city needs to take. One of the significant activities includes exploring the use of hydrogen as an alternative to natural gas, of course, natural gas. A working group with numerous stakeholders, from ministries to universities and etc., has been established. This group will prepare a list of potential hydrogen projects in the whole region. The city also joined the EU Emission Adaptation Initiative. A part of this, a study on the region's vulnerability and adaptability to climate changes is being conducted. With the EU Climate Fit project, Maribor is a pilot city where financial mechanisms for implementing climate change measures will be examined. The city is actively preparing the groundwork for establishing energy cooperatives, which will also help the public sector towards decarbonization or neutrality. The city's climate change plans are in 6 points. Renovate most of the built infrastructure in the city, which means residential and commercial and industry buildings as well as public spaces, of course. The renovation must dramatically reduce energy demand and significantly improve living quality. Number 2, upgrade city heating systems to renewable and cost-effective sources. Number 3, utilize solar energy production due to favorable location. Number 4, eliminate or at least reduce fossil fuel traffic by A, improving cycling infrastructure, not only in the city, but also in the whole region, where we are very successful. B, creating a network of shared electric vehicles, what we already have, and we're just expanding this network. And C, developing an integrated urban e-logistic network. 5, strengthen local food sufficiency. Some approaches have already been made through different projects by shifting the surrounding region to organic agricultural production. And number 6, ensure proper waste management and increase recycling rates. So these are these action things that Maribor is really working on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reichenberg. So it seems that you have a plan in place. Your ambition and your goals are set 2040. We're looking forward to that. And thank you for elaborating also about the concrete products and the 6 points. We'll come back to that later on. Mr. Geršić, municipality of Novo Mesto, again, one of 5 biggest cities in Slovenia. Thank you for being with us. What's your story? So again, being a big city, a big footprint in Slovenia, what are you doing? How are you tackling the climate issues, and how ambitious is Novo Mesto in the green transition plan?
Yeah, in the perspective of Novo Mesto, we are a particular in a way. We are not a big city. The municipality as a whole has 37,000 inhabitants, the urban center 25,000. So in regard of European city, we are fairly small. Although we have a large industrial base, so we have at least 3 large industrial centers. And you would never guess from where our carbon footprint comes from industry. So our chart for greenhouse emissions would be completely different than from our house or Amsterdam or any other city where the transport is the main culprit for I don't know, emissions and so on. So our problems are a bit different. So a very strange answer to the question when will we reach the carbon neutrality for Novo Mesto is never on the scale that is possible in some other cities, because we cannot just shut down the industry. However, we can mitigate the things. We have lots of work to do, and we have models how to work on reducing the carbon footprint in our local community. Because if anything, we understand together with industry that we are not municipality A and B, industry and citizens C, and I don't know, NGOs D. We have to work together. This is the common story. The river Krka is swimmable and it meanders by this industry, heavy industry in the city. So it's possible to achieve some sort of environmental goals when we work together. Not just common sense, also legislation, also inspections, also working together on wastewater treatments and so on and so on. And I guess in reaching carbon neutrality, it's just the same story. So good practices that we saw in Novo Mesto, for instance, we energy retrofitted all public buildings in Novo Mesto, all the buildings that are owned by the municipality of Novo Mesto. How? Through European cohesion funds, to great cooperation with ministry for the infrastructure then in 2017 or something like that. So the framework, the national framework, how to energy retrofit, how to finance, what's the economy behind it, from the national level was very clear. And also legal framework for PPP, so public-private partnerships that were quite important in this sense were also very good set. And then the municipalities that had a vision and ambition, like was said from Maribor, for instance, or Kran, had an opportunity to go forward, to really do not just few buildings, but the end goal, all buildings. And the same is in another area that is important for us, as I said at the beginning, the transportation, the mobility, it's the same. It's not enough just talking about sustainable mobility, getting the people to the bikes or the public transport or so on. It's also a question of logistics, city center logistics. It's a question about electromobility. How restrictive will we be around fossil fuels in the future for public or personal transport? And those are not the questions that can be asked inside the municipalities. We need a cohesion, a consensus on the national level, or European level, and again, primary, very good framework for doing stuff on the national level. So what is the state of play? That is our main question. We will be ambitious, we will do the things that are necessary, but in a community of 212 municipalities, everyone has its own idea what's good and what's not and what's working. And here we need some sort of a national framework, like it was in energy efficiency, to go forward. And mobility is only one area. There is a lot of questions about carbon neutrality still to be tackled in local communities, for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Gersic. So what I've learned from Nova Mesto, yes, we need to build strong partnership with businesses and with the economy on one side, and we'll come to the question regarding the cooperation between the cities and cooperation cities with the government and the EU. This is why I believe Ms. Kubilca could wait a bit longer. I'm sorry, you were the only lady at the panel, but then again, it seems that everybody will be popping the same questions, and we'll leave you to the end, if I may so. Mr. Larisha, one short question. I did enjoy your presentation. Thank you very much. But the question that arose was, why did you decide to join the EU Mission 100? What was the momentum? Why did you join the club of the city that present 12% of the EU population?
Well, thank you very much and for the question, and warm welcome from the Mayor Rakovec. I'm representing him due to the fact that he's abroad and he's just currently having an important meeting. Otherwise, he would be able, of course, to be with you instead of me. But nevertheless, so the whole idea started in 2016, even before the mayor got his first term, because we have this sustainable urban strategy by 2030 already in place, and then the digital development strategy in 2020 that we have. And when we had a discussion with Dr. Romana Jordan, when she was presenting the city municipalities of Slovenia this mission, the wish was actually to have at least one city in Slovenia being part of that mission. And the city of Kran immediately said, we are going there, but because the mayor is very ambitious and he believes in this per se, so he said for sure Kran goes with that. And we are very happy that we have actually also Ljubljana and Velenje with us together on this mission, because it's an important one. And together we also already proved ourselves that we are, I would say, very reliable partner, since the European Commission actually granted us 1.5 million euros for this first pilot city. And we actually applied for that together, all three cities together, as we believe that together we can. And like in cycling, because cycling is very healthy and interesting, but we are actually on the top UC level of cycling, and we make a lot of people nervous all around the world. So that means that you don't need to be big to be important and interesting. And from that perspective, since we have a great team of people working on that, and as we have a mayor who believes that everything is achievable, this is actually the name of the game. And we actually believe that Kran will become carbon neutral, also due to the fact that all the numbers that we put together, and it's actually today. So today we are already uploading all the files to the European Commission. So we look forward to get the mission label in the second tranche in autumn this year. And I believe, as it was also pointed out from Ljubljana is also applying or uploading all the documents by the end of this week. So it's going to be fun, and it always needs to be fun. You know, it's not something that we go against somebody. We have the numbers putting together, so it's achievable. All for us, that's 370 million euros totally. So it's quite of a good number. The majority of the number needs to be invested by the citizens, of course. So the citizens of Kran, alongside with the companies, and the city of Kran will have its own 100 million euros invested in the next 7 years. That makes it viable, and with all the stakeholders that actually signed the contract with the mayor on the 1st of March, so 11 days ago, we are very firm on that together in all the partnerships we can achieve that goal.
Thank you, Mr. Lanišćak. Yes, of course, it's fun, as long as it's fun. But then again, also there are a few burdens put on our shoulders that we need to think them over and, of course, create partnerships to succeed. Mr. Lanišćak was saying something about the finance. He was very exact about the numbers. But then again, by listening to him, we also understand that the whole transition cannot be and will not be financed by the EU or by the governments. Even as Anna said at the early beginning, there will be roughly 17% funds available from the EU. The rest is up to us. It will come to the point of what means us citizens and the business on one side. But on the other side, see the Development Bank of Slovenia. How are you involved in this green transition? Are you helping cities with financing? Do you have some specialized lines for them opened? How does this work?
Good morning. Do we hear now each other?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we fixed that issue. Well, thank you for that question. Yes, SID Bank is the Slovenian Development Bank established and meant just for the cases you mentioned. Namely, we are not commercial bank, as we know banks looking for profitable projects, but we are a bank working in so-called market gaps. And this, what you mentioned, is clear market gap when we need to close the financial construction of the development projects. Most of those projects won't even be commercially viable because this will be about public infrastructure, green transition, and cases like that. For that reason, we already have implemented a lot of programs within the SID Bank. The last, which is phasing out now, is so-called energy efficiency. When we were closing the financial constructions with this remaining 15 to 20%, the 80% was granted by the Slovenian government or the EU Commission. Energy efficiency is still open, but I'm hopefully will not be needed anymore, as we are approaching a stadium where all the buildings will be energy efficient, which are eligible to get financing from the SID Bank. But nevertheless, if there is interest from the municipality, from the private sector, this energy efficiency program is still open. Of course, for the municipalities and in this forum, we are mostly joined with the municipalities. We have this public sector program, which is very favorable, low interest rates, long-term financing up to 25 years. which is enabling all kinds of financing to the municipalities, but the condition is that it's not state aid related. This means that this should be for public infrastructure that is meant for all. I know that municipalities are all aware of that, but nevertheless, we are open. Do contact us if you need any financing, especially on the green side. For the green side, we have enabled a instrument together with European Investment Facility, and we have introduced now new program, the so-called Zelen, which means green in English, that we can finance institutions and investment without collateral. That means without insurance. That is especially interesting for the municipalities and for the public sector within the municipalities that are not able to provide insurance. But we can provide so-called EIF, this is European Investment Fund guarantees only for the green projects. That includes also the solar power plants, things like that, the greening of cities. And this means also state aid related products can now be financed by the seed bank. As we see now this green agenda, I also must mention that we are implementing partner of the EU Commission. So we are doing our best to bring in the European donations and grants that could be implemented in Slovenia. The so-called alternative fuels infrastructure facility, which is providing grants up to 50% of the total project value, is implemented through seed bank. And if you have any questions, like municipalities want to introduce electric charging stations within the municipality, or any other private institution want to jump in that charging stations infrastructure, do give us a call and we will try to assist you to bring in this additional grants from the European Commission.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jež. So we now do understand what your role is. We do understand to help cities and also help businesses which are in the cities to make much faster green transition. Ms. Kubilčak, finally, here we are. So we heard about cities having and municipalities having big plans, a lot of projects that were already presented. For you, the first question is, how ambitious is Slovenia in the EU? So are we an ambitious nation regarding the green transition? Very ambitious, not less ambitious? So where do we stand in this green transition?
Good morning. I hope you can hear me well. It was in fact very good to hear all these activities just before my intervention, and really to hear how much is being done on the side of the cities, and also of course on the seed bank. It's really my pleasure being here, and as per your question, I would say I wouldn't in fact frame it around the ambition solely. I think it's important to essentially evaluate whether we are doing enough, whether our current actions are in fact adequate. And I think it's important to recognize that we have done quite a lot. We have just heard from many on their projects, but it's, I think, equally crucial to acknowledge that we need to do better also in Slovenia. We are on the right path, but I think there's always room for improvement. And you have most likely seen also the recent reports from the European Environmental Agency, which sends a very clear message. And this is that if we don't act now, the consequences of climate change will be catastrophic for Europe. In particular, the Southern Europe, where also Slovenia lies, is in fact in particular vulnerable and under threat of climate change. And I think we should be very much aware of that. Therefore, I think it is imperative that we do take immediate and decisive actions to prevent this irreversible damage to our land. At the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Energy, we are very much committed to ensuring that all sectors are actively involved in this transition. This also includes revising our national energy and climate plans. We are preparing a comprehensive climate legislation, our climate law. So we are working tirelessly to engage the stakeholders and foster cooperation across all levels. We are just beginning to implement the legislation stemming from the EU when it comes to our targets for the 2030, so the minus 55% compared to 1990. And you're probably also aware that we are just starting our discussion already on our 2040 target at the EU level. So what will come for the EU countries, for the EU citizens by 2040? It's a very important discussion that will also lead, of course, hopefully the work of municipalities. And while we are making this strides towards a sustainable future, it is once again evident that more needs to be done. And I think, as we often say, that we need every individual in this green transition in every sector. I think the role of municipalities, the cities, is in fact crucial on this road, both from the mitigation and adaptation side of the climate change. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Let me be a bit provocative, please. So yes, let's say roughly 70% of the funding coming from the EU, an additional 3, 4, 5% will come from Easter years from the seed bank. And I do understand what you mean about the cooperation with the cities. So the rest of the burden is probably on the cities, the municipalities, and coming then back to the business and to the individuals. Are there any activities or actions, or can we see any progress in the national budget that the government will further support with the funding the green transition now? Although we are very grateful for new legislation framework, as we are scarce sometimes, of course, as people coming from business, there's a lot of things going on. We can see that you are doing a lot of job. But yes, is there a national budget moving towards more support to the green transition?
In the first place, let me highlight that I think at many different events that we have been attending lately, we see in fact that the money itself is not the main issue. It's how we use this and in what projects and the goals that we are trying to achieve with these projects, whether these are in fact whether these are aligned with the green transition in our goals. Of course, I mean, at the ministry level, we are working a lot also in terms of providing the sufficient funding and trying to encourage, as I said before, different sectors. But let me perhaps mention a few, because I think when it comes to transport, even though we have heard from, for example, from Novo Mesto that perhaps in Novo Mesto transport is not the main issue. If we look at the national level, transport is one of the main issues. It is a sector that emits too much. And this is something that, for example, we have been trying to mitigate by eco funds that has been repeatedly and just recently in 2023 they launched a call for the non-repayable financial incentives to municipalities for investing in environmentally friendly public transportation vehicles. So for example, the buses which are powered by electricity or hydrogen. By 2026 we aim to allocate approximately 45 million which is around 15 million annually towards this endeavor, and these funds come from the climate fund. Then also an important project relates to the so-called nearly zero energy buildings. Once again, the Eco Fund it will actually publish a new call this year, amounting to nearly 10 million euros, building upon our previous investments of 15.5 million euros in 2021. And with this, I'd like to also mention, I think one of the, let's say, good practices that we have seen as part of the cooperation between different stakeholders, which is the Selnica ob Dravi kindergarten. I think it exemplifies the effective collaboration advancing this green transition. This project, which is being constructed entirely from the Slovenian wood, without the use of glues and chemicals, I think showcases the commitment of municipality, the Eco Fund on the other hand, which is co-financing this and using the local technology company to sustainability. Of course, there are also other funds which are available and has been used, for example, through the European cohesion funds. We have secured close to around 60 million euros to implement measures aimed at improving green infrastructure, accessibility for residents in urban areas. I think important also, and this will be my last point to mention, investing in the replacing of the heating appliances. We have heard a lot within Slovenian, I think, public on this. But it's really crucial for enhancing the air quality. And to this address, we have allocated around 80 million, once again, from the Climate Fund, underscoring our commitment to create the healthier and better environment for all. So yes, lots of projects, lots of different sources, and very happy also to keep the contacts in later stages if necessary. Thanks.
Thank you. So, gentlemen, it's back to you, obviously. Ms. Kibushek was very explicit regarding the funds, the project, etc. And she's saying that money is not everything. So, obviously, we'll need to go beyond thinking of where our budgets are or what the country will do for us. So, it's back to you, gentlemen, what we will do for the country, obviously. Mr. Reichenberg, what kind of partnerships are you working on in Maribor? Is there any specific stakeholder group that you are working with in order to reach the climate neutrality? I don't know, more emphasis on business, on culture, on changing people's habits. What kind of partnerships are you building?
Yes, we are working on several different projects, actually, which are kind of EU sponsored or EU pushed, let's say. For us is making the city more nicely to live in or more green, let's say. It's very, very important. Just to say, I think that we have planted in last 5 years over 2,000 new trees, which is a lot. And one small thing of which we are really personally proud of is one project that we are encouraging the schools, primary schools and kindergartens, that when the children are leaving those facilities and moving on, they should organized plant trees in order to leave the roots, in their homes, let's say, because people are actually going abroad later. They're studying, I don't know, in Austria, in Ljubljana or whatever, and we want them to psychologically to have their own tree. And we're mapping those trees. And we have already over 300 new trees being planted this way. So they all have names, they're kind of mapped. And beside this, we're part of some EU projects, like for instance, this 3 billion trees project. We're mapping all of our important trees in the city. We are in this structure, let's say, of the Klimaboro. This is the greening urban centers action, and then Ready for Heat program, which is also a protecting citizens from heat project, and this map my tree, which is a thing that we have a map, and every tree is planted, and there also says that which child with the name is the godfather of this tree. So this is one important thing for us. Besides this planting and this utilizing of these natural elements in urban areas, we're also aware that the moss is 30 times bigger CO2 destroyer than the trees. So moss, having a moss on the roofs or in the facades is actually more effective. So we are, as architects, also trying to implement this rule to have some moss in public buildings. That's the awareness of this biodiversity also, which is for me personally very important. We're not only, it's not only us. There's our planet is really diverse, which is important. So that's basically it.
Good. Mr. Reinberg, thank you very much for pointing out the biodiversity, an issue that's been popping loudly out in the EU in the last few years, and we'll be hearing about that much more. Going to Mr. Gershich, Municipality of Novo Mesto, the partnerships that you are creating. So it seems that you've done as the municipality a lot regarding the buildings, the energy efficiency, and so on. And you said that you are totally dependent on the industry, which you want to keep, because you want to keep the jobs, you want to keep the prosperity in the city, which is fine. But then again, are you working on some kind of partnerships? How are you encouraging the industries to take the path more ambitiously, the green transition path?
Yeah, as I already said, the partnerships are quite important, because this climate change is not a sort of a problem you can sort smartly by yourself with some really innovative actions. So we tend to go from the starting point that like a smart city or smart community, the measures will not be enough, and the adaptation is necessary. Jokes aside, but truly in field of partnerships, I guess on the one side, it's quite important that there is a strong partnership principle in the local communities as itself, between our industry, our businesses, commercial endeavors, and local community and people and so on, so that everyone understands its role in the equation of solving this problem. And another thing is partnership between local communities, municipalities. Let's say in our geographical region, so the environment, the pollution, the emissions doesn't know the boundaries of municipalities. So if we don't act together on the given geographical area, then it's all to nothing, really. And I guess the special leading role must have city urban municipalities of Slovenia as sort of regional centers and development centers for the regions. And here I have two good examples. The ELENA, European Investment Bank mechanism, ELENA, for energy efficiency and sustainable mobility. We have two such projects at the moment in Slovenia, one for energy, the lead partner is the municipality of Kranj, and one for sustainable mobility, where the lead partner is municipality of Novo Mesto. We have municipalities, we have Post of Slovenia, National Post, we have ELES, like electro distributing company, national company in Slovenia. So various partners where we try to use the technical assistance, again, funds, to conceptualize projects with lower energy efficiency, with bigger energy efficiency, lower consumption of energy. And this is all good, but the main thing in those projects is learning from each other. We learned a lot from Kranj about how was their process in putting up electrical infrastructure for mobility and so on. The cooperation and talking to each other, the dialogue between municipalities and transfer of knowledge in such projects can be really much bigger than just those I don't know, millions of euros in technical support. And I guess we have to, because we are so dispersed as local communities, we have to continue to talk to each other. We cannot rely to the national level to say, oh, municipalities gather together. We have to be, you know, self-propellant in that way, that we really work together. And really, Association of Urban Municipalities of Slovenia is working on several areas in that sense. But I guess this is still a thing that it's never enough. We should do more. We should talk more. We should exchange knowledge more. And I guess it will be a plenty of opportunity in the future for that, because the temperature will be rising and we will be hard pressed to do something.
Thank you, Mr. Gersic. I'm sure that you're totally listening. It seems that SER is doing a very good thing by bringing all this knowledge and experience together. So we'll definitely need to pursue this. Mr. Lonišak, as following sustainability projects quite closely in Slovenia, Kranj is also known for changing the habits of the people. So you are developing different digital apps. You are encouraging people to cycle more. So what's your magic trick? What's your magic wand that you are using that the people are following the changes that you're introducing?
Well, it's actually walk the talk. I mean, it's not easy, that's for sure. So for sure, if it would be easy, everybody would have it. But we know that since we are coming from business, I'm from business, the mayor is also from business. You know, it's actually not having all the answers to all the questions immediately, but at least you start with something. And for us, it was good that we started this digital transformation 4 years ago. Okay, it was also COVID time, which actually really speed up the whole process for all the municipalities, not only us. But the trick was that after the COVID time, we didn't want to go back to square one, so to the old habits, as we say. So in this respect, we have the digital the platform that is already up and running, and the smart city card that is going to be implemented now is actually the toolkit where we are able to automatically deal with the challenges that we have. The problem is in the heads of the people, of course, because it's the big brother effect of the dilemma of big brother. You know, why on earth the mayor would now need to know about every movement and whatever I do. So where, on which bus do I go, or what book do I read? And this is also one of the reasons why we went to the really the highest level according to the bank law of the security of the data. So it's not easy, but for sure we want to make it happen in a way that it's usage of the card in order to change the habits of the people. But you know, before just going with these kind of projects that are not projects by say, we wanted to implement this e-mobility of the city of Kranj, and it's actually up and running. The solar power plants and the Elena projects that Peter from Novomesto also mentioned, they are really nice things that people actually recognize as the value added. The whole idea about this mission 100 is, of course, a challenging one, but if we see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's easy also for the people to understand. And having this Smart Mlaka project that was also recognized by the European Commission and Gartner and the JRC a year and a half ago, where they put actually the city of Kranj alongside with the city of Rotterdam, Helsinki, Guimarães, and Tallinn, made us really the proof that we are on the right track. And last but not least, also the Slovenian Ministry of Digital Transformation recognized with the DG Zornik a couple of months ago 2 of our projects, and the second one beside the city platform was really the project of the increase of the local food self-sufficiency. So having the local farmers, local stakeholders supporting local schools and kindergartens. So we say that when the food is coming to our kids' menu, it should actually commute as less kilometers as possible. And with these kind of projects, together with the digital tools, we are quite successful in that. Is it easy? No. Is it fun? Yes. If you have the right people on the right places. The challenge, of course, is the public sector and not very high salaries, but it's not the name of the game. I mean, part of that is also when you put back to your society. And the most important thing, at least I can say this for my team, is that we are learning a lot of new stuff, and this can be then implemented and capitalized later on. I'm pretty much sure about that.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Mr. Yesh, from different discussions with business sector, with cities, municipalities, and so on and so forth. So I'm not sure that I understand the green transition correctly. Is there enough funding, or are there enough projects in the pipeline? So what do you feel about that? So is there enough projects in the pipeline you can see from your perspective of the seed bank, or are you perhaps lacking projects to roll out all the fundings available, what you were explaining earlier, the green, the EIB, etc.?
Oh, definitely there is not enough projects. You know, we have these initiatives like Elena and things like that. Also within the seed bank, there was a project office developed with the support of the EIB that we would develop investment. But no, we are far from that. On the other side, you know, there is several financing mechanisms, you know, like you heard from the Ministry of the Environment, there is Eco Fund, there are European funds. There are also very favorable long-term funds from the seed bank or from the other development banks. So I think if we have a good green projects, the financing of the project should not be problematic. But of course, to develop a sustainable green project, there is an issue, and especially in Slovenia. But don't get me wrong that there is something specific about Slovenia. This is the European problem. We, within the LT, so this is so-called the club of the development banks, we discuss and we face all the same obstacle. This is lack of developed projects. So this is my call for invest in project development.
Good. So, Mr. Boscher, this is coming right up in your direction once again. I'm sorry. So we see that, okay, municipalities are doing a lot of projects. It's not all up on them to tackle all the climate issues that we are tackling. We see that the funding is available even from the commercial or special vehicle side. So, Mr. Boscher, regarding the partnerships, who should work more closely that we will come up with more green projects and that we will be able to lend more green money and that we'll be able to achieve the climate goals faster?
Well, I think first of all, I think there are plenty of different ideas which are very worth exploring and working on. And I think with not only having an idea, but then also implement it, I think it's equally important to socialize this idea and then to connect different actors to work on it. And I think this is one of the most crucial parts that we are also seeing specifically, for example, in Slovenia. I think there are very good projects in making. There are very good projects that are being developed, but I think what we also need is really to have everyone connected and to speak to each other, to communicate, to work on this further. I think one of the let's say the partnerships that we see in the future will be a hot potato one is certainly connected to mobility. So mobility as a service. I think this is something that this sort of private-public partnerships could also be very much beneficial. I do understand that there are quite a few ideas, but once again have to be further worked on. And I think this kind of events that we're currently participating in, I think also serves as, you know, this let's say interaction between the good practices, the exchange that we are having might also and hopefully will lead to more connections and to further enhancing the very good ideas that are already out there. And as I said, I mean, from the ministry side, we are open also when being approached by different stakeholders. And once again, indeed, there are quite numerous different versions of funds, not only EU funds but also climate fund and so on. And let's make good use of it. So yeah, thanks.
Okay, Mr. Boscher, thank you all dear panelists. So this is how we close our panel. Thank you for sharing good projects, good ideas. Thank you for sharing the ambition, especially pointing out the importance of the partnerships And also thank you for not finger pointing only at the government or the EU, but also at our stakeholders, our citizens, business, and so on and so forth. So it seems that working together closer on the different tackling climate issues, it will bring us more ideas, more projects, as Mr. Esch is saying, more projects into the life. And this is how Slovenia will achieve their goal. So Anna, this is back to you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much to all the panelists for great insights, important insights. Thank you, Giga, for wrapping up all the panelists before, showing your ambitions, partnerships and projects. And just to wrap up, it's not the end. We will continue with events like this, continue. The mission of CER is connecting good partners, good projects, but as Tina said, we need to do better. So let's be more ambitious and to make bigger and better steps for the future. Thank you very much to all for being with us. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.